At the beginning of the movie, we see a man trying to make love to his wife, but then she keeps stopping him from having his way. That is Rosemary and her dear husband, Vincent. Now, this is how it all started. Rosemary is the daughter of a man of God. In the parlor is Rosemary's mom reading the Holy Scriptures, while Rosemary is trying to sneak out of the house. Rosemary's younger sister, Doris, shows up on the scene and requests to join her mother in reading the Scriptures. Next, we see Rosemary sneaking out of the house at night to meet her boyfriend, Freddie, who is waiting in his car to meet her outside. She joins him in the car, and they both leave for a date. During dinner that night, we see Mr. and Mrs. Peters, Rosemary's parents, having dinner together, but the two girls aren't there. Eventually, Doris joins her parents at the table, but Rosemary is absent. Bishop asks her about her sister's whereabouts, but Doris lies that her sister is in the room sleeping. Bishop orders her to go get her sister, but instead, she goes in, pretends to be calling out her sister, and then returns to the dining, telling her father that Rosemary said she's not hungry. Bishop insists that Doris calls her sister. Doris goes back up and puts a call through to Rosemary, who is in a restaurant with Freddie. Rosemary has to think of something very fast if she doesn't want to land in trouble, so she calls her father immediately, telling him she can't join them for dinner because she's having her monthly period. Mr. Peters feels pity for her, and so he lets her be. Doris returns to the table to join her parents as they continue dinner. Freddie and Rosemary are both having a good time at the restaurant. Freddie keeps staring at Rosemary with a burning desire. He asks her to be his girlfriend that night, and she agrees. That night on their way back, they approach a police checkpoint. These police guys seem not to be easily moved with bribes. Freddie finally gets to the checkpoint and is stopped by a policewoman. One of the officers asks him to provide the papers of his car, but instead, he brings out a little bribe. The officers, as I said earlier, are not moved with bribes. The officers get into Freddie's vehicle and order him to drive to the station immediately. Doris is bothered about her sister, who is not yet back at that time of the night. She keeps trying to call her line, not knowing that Rosemary is already in the police station. Rosemary tells Doris to remain calm and not mention anything to her parents. Now there's a problem. Freddie's friend, who's the owner of the vehicle, says he won't be able to provide the papers of the car that night. This makes Rosemary panic even more. She keeps pleading with the police officers, but to no avail. Doris at home is still up, waiting for her sister's return. Her mother comes to the parlor and sees her panicking, but she says she's only surveying the compound, claiming she heard a noise. Still in the police station, Freddie approaches the counter and tries to bribe the police officers once again, offering to give them 20,000 naira, but they refuse to collect it. Well, it's finally morning. Rosemary's father comes to bail her out of the station and takes her home. At home, he sits her down before her mother and interrogates her concerning the man who took her out. Mr. Peters says he never wants to see her with Freddie ever again. He releases her to go to her room. Doris follows Rosemary to her room to get the full gist of what transpired that night at the police station. But Rosemary is so tired and needs to catch some rest. Next, we see Rosemary and Doris talking with Vincent, her family friend. Vincent just completed his house and wants Rosemary and her sister to come visit him real soon. Another day, we see Freddie and Rosemary. Freddie has invited her for them to talk and settle things since the whole police saga. He tries to apologize to her, but she seems to be a hard nut to crack. Anyway, she finally forgives him and asks him to drop her off at Vincent's place in his taxi. She gets to Vincent's home and he leads her in, covering her eyes. Vincent has a very beautiful home. Rosemary keeps admiring the place. She comments the ambience, saying the place is very beautiful. She gets talking with Vincent, and in the process, Vincent tells her how much he likes her and asks her to be his girlfriend. His girlfriend? Instead of saying yes, she begins to take him down memory lane, reminding him of how close their friends have been, and blah blah blah. She then ends by saying she's not sexually attracted to Vincent, and he's just like a brother to her. Chai, that hurts. Moving on. Vincent gets talking with his friend, telling him of his ordeal with Rosemary. Even the friend is shocked. His friend tells him to forget the babe, I beg. Vincent loves Rosemary, but I guess she's not just seeing it yet. Doris walks into Rosemary's room some weeks later and finds Rosemary panicking. Doris insists on knowing what is going on with her, and she opens up, revealing to Doris that she is pregnant. While they are talking, Their mother storms into the room, and the two pretend they weren't talking about anything. She persuades them to tell the truth. Doris points to Rosemary and runs out of the room. Rosemary's mother drags her to the parlor to tell her father about the situation on ground. Her father is in shock to hear that his daughter is pregnant, but even more shocked when he hears that Freddie is responsible for the pregnancy. He forces Rosemary to go and call him. Rosemary heads to Freddie's house and tries knocking on the door, but there's no response. After a while, a woman shows up, telling Rosemary that Freddie has left the country and that someone else has even moved into the apartment. Rosemary has been trying his phone line, but it hasn't been connecting. She is so devastated right now. Rosemary gets home and her sister follows her into the room, demanding to know how she went with finding Freddie. But then, Rosemary shows her a text message Freddie sent her just before leaving. At this point, Rosemary knows this is truly not going to go well at all. Being a pastor's daughter, her father scolds her and asks her to leave his house before the end of the month. Her mother didn't take it lightly with her either. Rosemary returns to her room still trying to contact Freddie one way or the other, but all to no avail. She says she'd rather kill herself than live with embarrassment. After that day, Doris and Vincent meet in the supermarket, and Vincent offers to drive her home since they are going in the same direction. As they drive home, Doris tells Vincent everything about Rosemary's pregnancy. On hearing this, Vincent decides to visit Rosemary. He comes to the house and tries to comfort Rosemary. He's not disappointed that the girl he loves is pregnant for another man. Vincent goes home and decides he can't let Rosemary face the shame of what has happened to her alone. He has to find a way to support her through this tough moment. Yet again, Vincent pays Rosemary a visit at her house. They get talking once again, and Vincent pleads with Rosemary to get married to him. He begs her to accept his offer so that she won't have to face the embarrassment alone. Instead, the paternity of the child will be known to just him and her family alone. Next, we see Vincent and Rosemary on their wedding day, taking wedding photos. As beautiful as they look, so she finally agreed to marry my guy. After the wedding, Vincent's friend follows him home to celebrate, but we don't see Rosemary in sight. Vincent's friend asks him about his wife, and he tells his friend that Rosemary is already pregnant, and so she needs rest. Vincent goes in to meet his newly married wife in the room. Rosemary doesn't seem to be so happy, even though she tries wearing a fake smile. What possibly could be the problem? Vincent tries getting her to talk, but she keeps saying she's happy. Anyway, let's hope so. A few days later, Doris comes to visit the couple. Vincent calls Rosemary to come meet Doris, but while getting down the stairs, Rosemary slips and falls. Vincent and Doris immediately rush her to the hospital. While in the hospital, Vincent keeps pacing around in the reception. Well, thank goodness, the doctor finally comes out after a while, assuring them that Rosemary is fine, apart from a little body pain. The whole family goes into the ward to see her. She has also lost the pregnancy she had. After that, the hospital discharges her, and she returns home with Vincent. But from then on, things changed between the two. Rosemary doesn't want to have anything intimate to do with Vincent. After 2 weeks, we see Vincent trying to kiss Rosemary, but she declines his advances. Rosemary continues denying Vincent of his marital rights in the bedroom. He tries pushing her into doing what couples do, but then she still bounces his advances. Vincent has had enough of this. He is fed up. He angrily leaves the bedroom and goes to the sitting room. Rosemary joins him later in the living room, suggesting to Vincent that they peacefully get a divorce. The sound of this isn't sweet to Vincent's ears at all. He reprimands her immediately. Due to the issues he's facing at home, Vincent is having a hard time concentrating, even in the office. His friend walks into the office and finds him in deep thought. What is this guy thinking about? Noticing that Vincent isn't alright, his friend tries to know what is wrong with him, but instead, Vincent claims he's alright. Vincent visits Rosemary's father, telling him of Rosemary's plan to file a divorce, and also of how she has been denying him several other marital rights ever since the miscarriage happened. Mr. Peters is not happy hearing this and assures Vincent that he's going to talk to Rosemary, and then he prays with Vincent. After Vincent leaves, Mr. Peter is alone in the parlor reading the Holy Scriptures when his wife joins him there. He reports the case of their daughter to his wife. Mrs. Peters wonders what must have gone wrong with Rosemary. The couple is not pleased with this news of their daughter at all. Rosemary's father claims his ministerial reputation is at stake with the way Rosemary keeps behaving. Vincent gets home from Rosemary's parents' house and finds Rosemary drunk to stupor. She's not even thinking properly at the moment. He tries to help her up, but she can't even walk. He manages to take her to the bedroom and lays her on the bed. Not aware of what she is doing, they both had sex that night. The next morning, Rosemary is preparing to go to visit her parents when Vincent walks into the room and kisses her. She stops him immediately. Vincent tries to know why she'll do that after having sex with him the night before, but noticing that she doesn't have a clue of what happened, he holds back his words. Rosemary claims she got herself drunk only because she was trying to make herself happy, since she's not finding the happiness she wants in Vincent's house. Rosemary arrives at her parents' house, and we see her parents questioning her as touching the decision she's making. But instead of Rosemary being remorseful, she keeps giving them her reasons why she doesn't want to stay in the marriage, claiming that Vincent is an opportunist for taking advantage of the situation she found herself in. After that, Doris also confronts Rosemary, but Rosemary threatens to snap her sister for disrespecting her decision. Next, we see Vincent in his office with a friend. They're talking about Annabelle, Vincent's ex. All of a sudden, Rosemary shows up in the office with a file containing divorce papers in her hands. She drops them on the table, asks him to sign them, and then leaves the office. That night, Vincent returns from work, and on seeing him, Rosemary asks him for the divorce papers. Well, Vincent had thrown them in the dustbin in his office. Out of anger, Rosemary tells him that she'll be leaving early the next day. In the morning, Rosemary gets her things ready and is about to leave Vincent's house. Vincent walks in and finds her bags all ready. He confronts her and tries to plead with her, but she's got her mind made up already. Just as they are arguing, she starts feeling dizzy and then passes out. She wakes up in the hospital a while later with Vincent by her side. The doctor in charge walks in and tells her to take care of herself, especially now that she's pregnant. Pregnant? How? Rosemary is confused at hearing this. She claims that it's not possible, especially since she's not had sex since she had a miscarriage. The doctor leaves the two in the ward, and then Vincent reveals to Rosemary that he had sex with her on the night she was drunk. She's in shock as well as heartbroken on hearing this. She leaves the ward and heads home straight. At home, she goes into the bedroom and breaks down in tears. Even when Vincent tries talking to her, she hits him and chases him out of the room. After that day, she meets with her mother, and after narrating everything to her, her mother starts giving her profound words of advice, telling her not to despise her marriage, especially now that she's even carrying a child. So here's the thing. After listening to her mother's advice, she decides to give her feelings for Vincent a chance. Vincent is alone in the room when she walks in, and after mustering courage, she tries to kiss him, but finds it difficult to do so. She gets up and leaves the room. She apparently can't do it. She meets her father this time, and just like her mother did the other time, he also gives her very serious words of advice, asking her to just give her relationship with Vincent a little push. And then, of course, this man cannot end his conversation without prayer. Several days later, we see the couple already reunited, and Rosemary is already having a strong attraction to her man. Vincent and Rosemary walk into their home, and on seeing the gift Vincent bought her, she jumps over him and even gives him a love kiss. Aww. In the last scene of this amazing movie, we see the two in bed. Vincent gives her an expensive gift he got for her. She receives it and admires it dearly, and she also appreciates Vincent for the gift. She moves closer to him and lays on his chest, and in a romantic voice, she says, "I think this is the perfect opportunity to tell you that I don't want to get a divorce anymore." This made Vincent so glad, and just as he's still finding words to express how he feels, she shuts him up, and boy, this couple is ready to have the moment of their lives.